All right, hello everybody, and welcome. I made a little mistake on setting us up here today. I went in portrait mode instead of landscape, so my apologies. I'm just waiting for a few minutes to get our guest here in the waiting room. But thanks again for joining us this week on the CalChiro live broadcast. Man, I'm bummed I'm not going to be able to go landscape mode today. I hit the wrong button. My apologies, but it'll work better on a a phone, I guess, today than it will on a computer. But thanks again for everybody being with us. Looking forward to having a good broadcast today, just like we've done in the past. I wanted to make a couple of quick announcements before we get going. Waiting on our guests, like I said, we're hopeful to have Jay Greenstein on the broadcast today. So hopefully Tiffany can get to work getting him the stream and everything, and we'll be able to have him on as our guest. But just a couple of quick announcements before we get started. I wanted to make sure that everybody knows about our upcoming events. The first one that we have is basically the Seaside Symposium that's coming up. I'm sharing my screen here with you guys for just a minute regarding the Seaside Symposium. It's February 28th to March 2nd. That's going to be in Monterey. Monterey is a beautiful part of the state. If you guys haven't had a chance to be out there, lots of great restaurants and things like that in the downtown area along the wharf. I know me and my family always like to go down there. They got the saltwater taffy. If you want to go to the aquarium, there's all those kind of things. I've been working with one of our vendors to have a boat ride that people can have access to out on the ocean on Sunday after the event. So that should be tremendous. So highly encourage you to come out. Not to mention, we've got 16 hours of CE that's going to be presented. Should be an outstanding event. Sean Drake is our keynote speaker. One of my other friends, Pierce, is going to be one of our speakers as well. So that should be a tremendous event. Looking forward to it. It's just over 30 days away. We've got a room block at the Embassy Suites. Very short ride to the downtown area. So highly recommend that you come and join us. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun out there and really doing just enjoying ourselves. So if you can make that, please take some time to join us. Looking forward to that. The second thing that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is that we have our legislative day coming up. So if you are interested in joining us for our legislative day, I want to share our screen right here. It's coming up March 25th. This is something that's super impactful for our profession. If you haven't had a chance to come out to our legislative days, really recommend that you take this opportunity. This is where you find out really what you believe in and what you stand for. Because when you can sit in a legislative office and tell them what you do and why you do it, I think that's what enhances your practice even more tenfold. You know, it enhances you as a practitioner even more so. It really ratchets you up. It allows you to ratchet yourself up in that moment, you know, when you're faced with people who are asking you about your profession and what you do. I can't speak highly enough about the legislative day and the impact that the getting involved in legislation has had in me as an individual and on my practice. Because when I go into these sort of things now, even in talking to my patients and just letting them know, you know, what we do and why we do it, that's one of the most impactful things that I think I can provide for people in my practice. Today's guest, you know, he might even talk about this a little bit, but right now in Washington, D.C., they're doing lobbying on Capitol Hill for the Medicare Act, or the Medicare bill that's been trying to get passed now for over 3 years in Washington, and we've had more sponsors than ever. If you guys are interested in advocating for, it's called the Medicare Modernization Act, make sure that you reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you more about that. I was disappointed I wasn't able to get there this year just because of some staffing issues that I have here at my office right now, but it's certainly something that I know I'll be working hard in the home offices. I've been able to secure 3 sponsors last year I secured 3 sponsors for California federal legislators. So if you want to know how I did that, let me know or hit me up. I'll be happy to take you through that process. So thanks again for joining us on the live broadcast. I know we're getting excited to give away some money, but I wanted to bring on today's guest and share with you Dr. Jay Greenstein. Can you see us now, Jay?
I can see you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me bring you up on the screen as well. All right, now we're both on the screen, so we're rocking and rolling.
What's up, brother?
Good to see you, man.
You
Thanks so
too.
much. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on today and kind of unpack some things and just understand more about what you do and why you do it. Like I said, so you got your Embody t-shirt on. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Be having some people join us on the chat, and then we'll be giving away $400 today. So
Wow.
We'll have some fun with that. So, but let's dive into it just a little bit. Why don't you just start by introducing yourself for the folks that don't know you at this point, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great, man. I appreciate being here. So my name is Dr. Jay Greenstein. I am a chiropractor. I have been a chiropractor since April of 1992. I got into chiropractic because my mom was completely mismanaged by the medical system. She finally found chiropractic. She turned me on to chiropractic. I met my mom's chiropractor. He gave me some great advice. He handed me the book, Introduction to Chiropractic by Lou Sportelli. I went home that night and read it cover to cover, had my first adjustment that day, and I was hooked. I changed my major. I was a major at the University, business major at the University of Maryland. Changed my major that next semester and went on to fail a couple of classes in summer school because I didn't know how to study, like chemistry and physics. Finally learned how to study, got into national, went to national. My first year out of school, went to go practice actually in California, in Oakland, at a place called Oak Bay Chiropractic, which was the clinic of Dr. Jan Corwin. It was the Olympic team chiropractor for the Seoul Olympics. Mm-hmm. He actually introduced me to Tom Hyde at the ACA Sports Council event in Santa Barbara the following year, opened up a whole new world of sports chiropractic to me, and came back to Maryland, started my own practice. We have 4 practices in the kind of the DMV, the DC region, and we are a sports chiropractic rehab office. We have a sports performance and personal training company. We have a 501c3 nonprofit clinical research institute where we run clinical trials. We just finished a large multi-year NIH study. And then we have Embody, which is our healthcare technology company where we help chiropractors and healthcare providers improve patient outcomes and drive practice income through remote therapeutic monitoring. So that's my story.
I love, this is where I want to dive in a little bit because, you know, I've gotten to know you a little bit now over the last, 6 months or so maybe 9 months. You were a speaker at our fall conference, and I just want to try to help people understand more about who you are, what you do, because you've been so kind to me and you're always so welcoming, which I just appreciate that so much, you know. And thanks, I think, brother, let's start a little bit by just talking about the role of technology in each of our practices, or the role that technology can play in each of our practices. Because this isn't something that I have even fully wrapped my head around, and I know you're right on the precipice. You're on the forefront, man. You're the leader. So tell us about your general thoughts on how technology will help shape our practices.
Well, I think we all have challenges as it relates to rising costs and inefficient workflow, and you know, the challenges around building great teams and A players and staff retention. Forget patient retention. We'll talk about that too. But right, there are challenges in running a business. And what I've learned through study and experience and my network is that technology can provide amazing solutions and provides us with the opportunity for exponential growth and impact. You know, yeah, I'm fortunate to be kind of a member of different entrepreneurial groups in DC and around the country. And I attended this one entrepreneurial event called Mastermind Talks. And I heard this author speak, and his name was Salim Ismail, and he wrote the book Exponential Organizations. And he talked about the key components of how organizations and companies grow exponentially. And it's literally all through the use of technology. You know, these companies have massive transformative purpose, check for chiropractic. They're information enabled, getting better for chiropractic, but not quite there yet. And there's these other 10 components of leveraging technology that can actually help organizations and businesses grow exponentially. And that book changed my life. I started to apply it to my business. And then ultimately, when we had some ideas around how we could drive improved retention and care plan adherence, we decided to build our own technology. So that's a whole nother story. But yeah, you know, if the way technology is today, Phil, is that it's literally changing healthcare every single moment. The changes are happening so rapidly. So if I were to give some thoughtful advice to our listeners and our audience, I would say the first thing that I would really want you guys to do is start playing with AI. Like when we were kids, we'd play like with Lincoln Logs, or we'd build forts out of our couch pillows or whatever. We would just play. And if shit fell, nobody cared, right? You just start all over again. And I think it's the same thing with, and I'm speaking specifically around generative AI. So ChatGPT, Gemini, those types of platforms. But once you start playing with these tools, you'll find there's like unlimited business use cases to streamline your practice. And I'll just share this and then I'll shut up because I could talk about this and I'll let you ask me more questions. But just as an end result of what technology has done for our practices, we don't have front desk CAs. Like we don't have that staff cost. We don't also, to be fair, like we don't have that staff headache. Like I love my team. I've got a great team, but the hardest position for us to maintain was always that front desk CA position. So we just decided after COVID, we're going to eliminate it, centralize operations, use technology to be more efficient, and have our people in the clinic focusing on world-class chiropractic care delivery and generation of revenue.
Man, that's like you said, when you said that, I'm like, oh boy, what would I do without my staff? Almost, right? But I agree. Like, I really appreciate what you said, because in my journey with AI too, it's like, okay, I'm going to try this ChatGPT thing out here just to help me like write a letter or something like that. And the more I do it, the more I'm getting comfortable with it. And I think that's a big obstacle for people. I don't know if I'm ready to get rid of my staff just yet, but we're going to talk more about that. But why don't we just kind of tell us how you think it helps with your care plan adherence and things of that nature, which I know is important to people that are on our broadcast. We're all trying to, create a living for ourselves, right? And fulfill our mission and our vision on our practice and our lives. And so that's something I think is always important to everybody. Sure.
I would say that for the AI piece specifically and the Gen AI piece, just to kind of keep focus on that for the audience so we're not switching back and forth, there's many use cases. It's everything from recruiting, like using it for job ads, and building out training manuals, building out training checklists, building out job descriptions. So there's clarity for the people that you bring into your organization, because you want to support those A players in their professional, personal, and financial development. So that's one use case. Marketing copy, email newsletters, Facebook ads, organic posts, like scripts for videos, like all those things can be created at light speed, where you need less human interaction to scale the output and the content literally at light speed. So those are just like two examples of how I use AI. When it comes to retention, look, I think there's a huge in-clinic component. I'm a super fan of Joey Coleman. He wrote the book, Never Lose a Customer Again. He is like literally the world's leader in customer experience. And so we apply the principles of never lose a customer again to the patient experience. But I will say this, I also know the data around patient satisfaction and loyalty. And if I were to ask the audience, like, what is the number one driver according to Gallup and Press Ganey, which is the largest hospital-based patient satisfaction polling company in the world, you'd probably be surprised. People say, well, it's bedside manner, or it's wait times, or it's the appearance of the office, or it's clinical outcomes, and all those are good answers. But what the data says is that patients notice most how the team worked together to take care of the patient. Like that is the number one driver. And so again, like we think about applying these principles of creating a remarkable experience for our patients to creating, first and foremost, doing the best job to create a remarkable experience for our team, right? Making sure they are operating at their highest level of impact. And then if we're doing a great job of building an amazing culture, they're enjoying their work, then they're going to do the same thing for our patients. So that's kind of the brick and mortar side. So I would encourage anybody who wants to elevate their patient experience that, what you want to do is read the book, Never Lose a Customer Again. And by the way, he wrote a second best-selling book, Never Lose an Employee Again. You can read both. But I would definitely apply those to your practice, because at the end of the day, creating remarkable experiences drives retention, builds a loyal fan base who become raving fans. And that's how you build your practice through internal referral. Now, if we want to take the technology side of things, I'll share with you just briefly our story. our clinics rebranded its name in 2018, and our tagline was rethink, rebuild, restart. We wanted people to rethink healthcare. We wanted to help them rebuild their bodies so they could restart their lives. And so when we came up with this, tagline, I looked at my team and I was like, look, this is great. I love this new brand. The old brand was dated and the new brand is great. And we should really rethink our business as well. Like, what can we do better? And so what we looked at, like where we could have the biggest impact was around retention. How do we drive greater retention? And we started looking at the scientific literature and looking at technology, and we combined those two things. And what we found is that we wanted to build our own practice app, and we wanted to apply the first rewards program that's ever been built in chiropractic in our app. So we basically built frequent flyer miles for our patients. So when they attended a certain number of visits and they hit a milestone, they would get an OIG, Office of the Inspector General, right? We want to be compliant with the feds, an OIG compliant reward. So it was something small, less than $15. It was like swag, off a swag or a TheraBand or BioFreeze or Stop Pain Clinical or whatever. Yeah. And what we did is because we have a research infrastructure, our research institute, what we did is we started to evaluate the data. And what we found is that patients who downloaded the app, who used the app, came in up to 70% more. Now, the total cohort was 36%. But when we looked at patients who didn't complete their treatment plan, they were less likely to finish. They were in the self-discharge cohort. Those who used the app came in 70% more. And by the way, we've published 2 studies on this. You can go to PubMed and you just put in my name and mobile app, and you'll find both of those studies. One is on retention, one is on revenue creation, because the more visits, obviously, the more revenue. So you can find that data. You can find those studies.
So this is the Embody app, or
this was our first product. It was called Canvas. It's called Canvas, and we still have customers on that product. But the problem, Phil, is that we didn't have enough money when we built that product to make it HIPAA compliant. And so when we brought on customers to Canvas, we used all that money to then build Embody, which is a completely new platform. It's way more robust. It's literally been classified as software as a medical device, which means our customers can bill for remote therapeutic monitoring services. So I'll get back to the retention. I'll close this thought, and then I'll get back to the retention piece in just a second. But remote therapeutic monitoring there are 4 CPT codes that the federal government came out with in 2022, so that when providers follow their patients when they're not in the clinic, they can get paid for specific activities. And I can share that with you guys in just a little bit, what those codes are and what the average payment is and all that good stuff. So, so now this new product, Embody, is a remote therapeutic monitoring platform. And because we are strengthening the connection between the patient and the provider when the patient is not in the clinic, and we know what their outcomes are after their clinic visits and after their home exercises, because we're prompting them to report back to us how they're doing, we can step in much faster if they're not doing well, or if they have an exacerbation, which builds trust, strengthens the relationship, and improves retention and adherence. We've also got artificial intelligence built into our home exercise program. And I mean, I could talk for hours about the platform. I don't think we want to necessarily go there. Anybody can reach out to me and we can talk more about it. But at the end of the day, we have also shown that we've increased adherence in the double digits through the use of this technology, because patients are having a better experience. So our philosophy is we create a great in-clinic brick and mortar experience, and we augment that with a digital experience. We're going to win, and we are winning. And by the way, according to HIMSS, which is the largest healthcare technology organization in the world, they had over 20,000 attendees at their conference last year. Their expo area is 3 football fields long.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's huge. It's a massive conference. It's incredible. I was there. It's incredible. 93% of patients, Phil, 93% of patients today are expecting a digital healthcare experience. And 90%, according to their research, will switch healthcare providers if they're not getting the digital healthcare experience that they want. And the crazy thing is that I was at this conference, and it was last year, and the CEO of Best Buy was on stage. I'm like, what is the CEO of Best Buy doing on stage at a healthcare technology conference? Well, you know why? Follow the money. Because Best Buy is now in healthcare. They're doing remote patient monitoring, and Geek Squad is now going in and setting up Bluetooth-enabled healthcare devices, blood pressure monitors, glucose monitors, so that patients can be followed remotely in order to improve their overall outcomes. So if it's good enough for Best Buy, guys, remote care is good enough for chiropractic as well.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. This is why I wanted to dive a little deeper on this, because now I'm starting to wrap my head around this idea of remote therapeutic monitoring. So I'm going to have to make sure that I either rewatch the recording and like take some AI notes, or maybe my wife can run it through ChatGPT and create me some cliff notes for today, or Tiffany can do that. But let's go a little deeper on the remote therapeutic monitoring, because I think that's of interest, because that's where it really applies for us, right?
Sure.
Maybe we can even talk about those CPT codes that you mentioned and those kind of things, because I think that's some of the nuggets that I'd like to pull out of this today.
Yeah, absolutely. So fire away. What questions can I answer next?
Well, you said that there's this opportunity to do remote therapeutic monitoring, and I know that you have this product in Body, right, that helps us to do that, right? And so then
Correct.
Just kind of like paint a little bit of a picture about how does remote therapeutic monitoring look in a general, let's say we're a one-person clinic, right, that we don't have, maybe we have a CA, let's say we have a CA, but then how do we utilize remote therapeutic monitoring in our clinic to improve patient outcomes, improve our reimbursement, and improve our patient care, that kind of thing.
Yeah, first of all, I want to acknowledge the chat. Love the chat. Yes, HIMSS is a monster company, and the technology and the healthcare innovation that's taking place with the technology, Dr. Basile, is insane. It's just insane. And what's really also interesting, you guys, is that when you go to these conferences, there is not a lot of focus on musculoskeletal care. There's a lot of focus on other chronic disease states like diabetes and heart disease, but like we have such an opportunity to lead the way. So I just wanted to acknowledge that awesome comment and just share my thoughts on that. So what does it look like, right? So like you're in your practice, Mary walks in and you do your new patient consultation and history, you do your evaluation, you do your report of findings, you day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, whatever you're doing. And then you say to Mary, we've built an app for a patient just like you. I want you to scan this QR code and you're going to download the app. And they download the app. And then what happens is, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Sure.
I literally just did a webinar and I walked through this entire process. And if you want, I can share as much or as little as you guys would like. But let me
got about 8 minutes on the 7 minutes now on the broadcast.
Okay. So let's do this. I'll just show you the codes. I'll show you the codes. Okay. So let me know when you see my screen. Can you see my screen with the codes on it?
Now we can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So we say, Mary, like we built this out for patients just like you. You're going to be able to communicate with the doctor through the app. You're going to have all of your home exercise through the app, schedule and reschedule through the app. There's a rewards program. So if you're a good patient, you get rewarded, blah, blah, blah. And when they onboard onto the app, that's the 98975 code, all the education that's done, in addition to what the doctor quickly says to the patient, just to get them to download the app, is done through the app. So we go through all these screens that helps the patient understand the value that they're getting through the app. So that's the 98975 code. Then every time the patient comes in for their adjustment, they're prompted to report how they feel afterwards. So, the patient reported outcomes data. They report back, that's one data point in a given day. The next day they go home and they do their home exercises. They're prompted to report how they feel afterwards. Once they report how they feel afterwards, that's another data point that comes, and that counts towards a second day of data. When the patient gives the system, and therefore the doctor, 16 days of data from the app within a 30-day consecutive period, then you can actually bill the second code, which is the 98977 code. In addition, the way that our system is built is that we automate home exercise construction. Like we build it out based on the diagnosis that's in the EHR. We have an API that collects that data and then maps the entire functional exercise progression. And then as the patients report how they feel afterwards, our artificial intelligence will then modify and personalize the next day's exercise based on how the patient reports their response to care was. So it's a very smart product that way and makes it very patient-centered in terms of their exercise progression. Now, as the doctor is looking at all this information about the outcomes that the patient's reporting, or patients maybe just texting in saying, hey, my back hurt after that last adjustment. Should I ice or should I use heat? Like how many times have we heard that before, right? The time that the provider is in the patient portal managing these patients remotely, for each patient, if they spend 20 minutes of time in a given calendar month, then they can bill this third code, 4948 for 98980 for $49.48. These are Medicare fees, by the way. I could also share, I have EOBs, galore on what other payers like Blue Cross and Aetna and United are paying, but 20 minutes of time spent. Now we're already doing this work anyway, many times.
Isn't any antitrust or anything by giving out Medicare fees, just so
right. No, yeah, absolutely not. But we're already doing this work anyway, Phil. Like, why shouldn't we be paid for it? NDs and PTs and OTs have been getting paid for this work for years now. We as chiropractors must get in the game, because what I don't want to happen is be like, oh, you're a chiropractor, we don't pay chiropractors for this, or you're a chiropractor, you don't do this type of remote monitoring. Well, it's part of our scope of practice. We can do this work. We should be doing this work. If we want to drive greater outcomes and engagement with our patients, we must be paid for it. So it's about getting in the game. And then lastly, that fourth code is an additional unit of 20 minutes in a given calendar month. Honestly, I don't see chiropractors doing 40 minutes of remote monitoring with their patients unless they're like functional medicine or whatever. So that's kind of like the mechanics of it. There's a lot more detail. And what I would say is I can put a link in the chat for anybody who wants to learn more. We're always willing to spend time with any doctor who wants to learn more. It's like we can show you the full product, and if it's for you, great. If it's not, no problem. Like, it's not a heavy sales pitch. It's more of like, this is what remote therapeutic monitoring looks like as it relates to chiropractic.
That's what I love about you, man. You're just ratcheting it up, and you're elevating the chiropractic profession. And we've talked before that's what I'm about. That's what we're trying to do here at this organization, and find ways to support our community, in that regard. And I know you're all about that too. So thank you so
Absolutely,
much,
brother.
That was awesome. And so outside of putting that in the chat, just tell everybody how they can connect with you now if they want to learn more.
I'm putting it in the private chat. I don't know if it goes straight to you, but I'll also put my email in there as well. Okay. So it's drj@embodyhealth.com.
I can put it in the chat too, so I'll put it in the general chat so everybody can see it as well.
Yeah. So now you have both links.
All right.
And yeah, and by the way, guys, I'm here to help in any way possible. If you have a question and maybe you're not ready for RTM yet, you're working on some other things in your practice, no worries. Shoot me an email, and if I can be helpful, I absolutely will.
I love what you said too about getting in the game, because I think we need to be prepared as a profession, as an association, to be able to tell people what we're good for anytime, anywhere, any place. Stand up for ourselves like we've never stood up for ourselves before, and that's
amen.
That's what fires me up, man, about working with you and being around you. So thanks for helping me elevate my game.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. You're doing great work for California and the profession at large. So much love and appreciation for you as well.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. But we really got to give away some money today. I know the folks here, we're getting more people on the chat to give away some money here today. So hopefully Tiffany will get a chance to bring up the wheel. Just as a reminder for everybody, my wife was telling me I didn't do a very good job of sharing my screen today, which I already knew, but it's always good to have that subtle reminder. But when I shared my screen, I tried to show you guys that the legislative conference is coming up March 25th. So hopefully you can join us for that. It's only $100 to come up to that, and that pays for the venue, the space, the food, all of that kind of thing. And then we also have our Seaside Symposium coming up on February 28th. That's going to be a fun event. Love to see you guys come out and get on the boat, and let's go see some of those things downtown Monterey that are just historic in some regards, So looking forward to seeing people there. But you gonna stay on with us, Jay, to give away some money?
Hell yeah, I love giving away money. And by the way, I saw in the chat they still need my email. So if you wouldn't mind just putting that in there, that would be great. And guys, maybe we can put a little pressure on Shasta and Dawn and Dr. Phil, and maybe they'll bring me back to speak again, because I'd love to come back to California.
I'm gonna ratchet. We got more to dive into for the next broadcast for sure. So, but remember, to be able to win the money today, you have to be on our broadcast. You have to be a member. Your name has to be drawn by the wheel, and you'll have 30 seconds to respond. I have a new widget coming hopefully soon in the next week, which is a built-in timer, so you don't have to take my word for it. It's CalChiro branded. We're going to go with the wheel one more time this week, but let's bring up the wheel and spin our first name. All right. Here we go. Empty now. Here we go. Rod Van Verstick, you are our first winner. You have 30 seconds to respond in the chat starting now. Remember, you have to be on the broadcast and say, I'm here in the chat to win the money. So hopefully that is clear. We've got Marissa on. Marissa's getting ready to win the money. Today's $400, by the way. If we don't have a winner, we'll ratchet it up to $500 next week. It seems like that's my word of the day, ratchet. So I'll just keep running with it. You've got 5 seconds, Rod, to respond in the chat. It doesn't look like you're here today, so let's draw our second name. You like this music, you always change the music up there. Angela Robles. Angela Robles, you are our second winner. You have 30 seconds to respond in the chat starting now. Angela Robles. Oh, my boy TJ just logged on. All right, let's go, TJ. Let's get it done. Dr. G. He wears fancy necklaces, so that's how everybody remembers him. All right, we got just a few more minutes. Today, remember, is $400. If there's no winner today, we'll take it up. I'll go with ratchet one more time. We'll ratchet it up to $500. You've got 5 seconds. And Angela, I keep wanting to say Angelica because I had a classmate named Angelica Robles, but it doesn't look like Angela Robles is here. So let's draw our second name, or our third name. Well, attention now. Todd Donahoe. Todd Donahoe, you are our third winner. You have 30 seconds to respond in the chat now. Todd Donahoe. Are you in Washington right now, Jay?
Yeah, I'm in DC right now.
ACA Engage?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm in home right now, but I'm actually meeting with some friends who are at Engage tonight. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's another thing. If you guys get a chance to check out that Medicare Modernization Act, that's something that's really building momentum. We need more sponsors here in California. Todd Donahoe, you've got 5 seconds to respond in the chat. Doesn't look like you're here today, so everybody that's with us in the chat is excited for our fourth and final name. Let's one more time. Jeffrey Paul Phillips. Jeffrey Paul Phillips, you are our fourth winner today. You have 30 seconds to respond in the chat now. This has been a lot of fun, Jay. I really appreciate you joining us this week, man. And like I said, very grateful for all that you've done to be welcoming to me, put you on your podcast. He's on the Tech Talk podcast as well with Brad Koss. Brad's going to be one of our other guests here soon in the next few days. Jeffrey Paul Phillips, you're a final winner. It doesn't look like you're responding yet in the chat. You got 5 seconds. I want to thank everybody again for being with us this week. Thanks again, Jay. Look forward to running into you soon, man. So talk with you guys next week. We'll give away $500. We'll draw 5 names next week. Check out our new website. There's options for joining CalChiro, different options, different tiers. I see Robbie Butler here on the chat. He's done a great job developing resources for new practitioners. Big shout out to Robbie. Hope you can join us at some of our events and that kind of thing too. So talk with you soon, buddy.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for having me.